My favorite comedians of all time. Why can't you fart in an Apple store? Start it right off here. Why can't you fart in an Apple store?
I hate that word.
Why can't you pass gas in an Apple store?
What's even worse?
We've just been talking about being more direct, Anthony. I think you can say the word fart. Let's go. Go ahead. Just lay it on us. Why
Because
can't you
they
fart?
don't have windows.
Oh my God. I was thinking literal fruits.
Oh.
On that note.
So dumb. I'm 2 for 2, Chris. I'm 2 for 2 for stumping you on being able to speak after my dad joke.
Oh God. I just can't speak because it's too stupid.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Do you know about the guy who invented knock knock jokes? Have you heard that story?
No.
Silly.
He won the Nobel Prize.
That's solid. That's a solid dad joke. He won the Nobel Prize.
All right. I'm not going to do this setup. What do you call a sick lawyer?
A sick lawyer.
It's an illegal.
Oh. So all the people who have been here to hear us talk about very intelligent founder related.
I just like the fact
I always start with the dumb dad joke.
It was no longer good morning. How is everybody?
Get it out of your system early.
He just wanted to get in front of all of us to make sure he got the fart in the joke out first. Which I'm not mad at you, Anthony. Like I think the fart in the Apple Store joke was worth kind of just usurping any formalities and
I was so excited to tell that joke this morning. Yes.
I think there's a part of our demographic that listens to our show and takes away a bunch of stuff, but they think to themselves, I don't own a business like that. Like I'm sitting here by myself. And so one of the things we're talking about today is what if the fastest path to profit means never hiring anyone at all? Jason Cohen bootstrapped WP Engine past 400 million in revenue. Really? But his first venture, Smart Bear Software, ran for years as a one-person shop, generating 7 figures annually. He turned down acquisition offers because the solo model delivered higher profit margins than scaled competitors with full teams. His constraint was his competitive advantage. Today on How to Founder, we are going to be talking about when not to have employees. I'm your host, Stephanie Hayes. With me are my wonderful co-hosts, Anthony Franco. Oh, and Chris.
Oh, come on. Jeez, the hanging shit. I was just about.
So it's just the three of us today. And, this is really relevant to all three of us. As a solo founder myself, and you guys too have been in that place. There are some pretty compelling reasons to stay solo. This has been my life for the last 20 years. And I even own a writing platform called Grow Solo. So how do you grow as a solopreneur? And I think that this is a business model can generate really meaningful revenue, but with 0 employees. And so from your experience, I'm going to send it off to you guys first, Anthony. If you think back to, you've had both experiences, you've been solo and you have been, you've built a team. So what's been the key difference for you between those two models?
I shower less as a solo entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm. There you guys, we can end the episode right now. That was the nice drop.
There isn't a key difference. It's a completely different thing. I am a builder, and my weakness is that I struggle with collaboration because of that. And so whenever you add even one person to your team, all of a sudden you have a lot of things that you need to worry about that you don't have to as a single person. Like if you're writing code, now you have to worry about how do you share that code and not step on one another. If you're writing a marketing plan or you're generating ads, how do you collaborate on what the right messaging is? Like when you're by yourself, you have no constraints on moving forward quickly. That can also be a bad thing.
Maybe
Chris?
you're moving forward on the wrong thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, Chris, you know more about this than I do.
Well, no. So I mean, it's like this.
No.
Like,
For
I think this
example,
was
wearing
great.
glasses that light up on a podcast episode.
No, but I think this was great. What do you guys think?
If you're just listening to us, which I highly recommend that the extrasensory stimulation might be too much for you if you're watching us on video, but Chris is wearing Christmas light glasses and they're blinking.
They're kind of glasses to some capacity. I would just say that if you didn't have people to talk to, also, I just had this incredible realization that Stephanie, you and I are the enablers of Anthony. We're enabling him. Like he's like an alcoholic. We're keeping alcohol in the house for him because he actually gets to talk to other people and not just sit in his basement all day long. Like this is his outlet. He gets to feel like he's actually part of a team. You're welcome, Anthony. I think
we're actually pouring it down his throat. I think
that's right, exactly. Anthony, I think you are correct in this thing. Is that you cannot really even compare the two. I will tell you though, you and I and Stephanie, we all have friends that have done incredibly well. I mean, friends, we put in quotation marks, that have done incredibly well running a solo consulting business, running a solo practitioner business, a solo e-commerce business, and they love it because of that complexity you just talked about, Anthony. It's people add infinite layers of complexity. The moment another person comes to any equation, you really then have to consider that person, unless you have multi-personality disorder, in which case you're probably already struggling with this.
I'm fine.
Anthony has all his personalities to keep him company.
Exactly right. I'm not lonely at all.
Here's my experience, because this is a world I've been in for a very long time and been on my own for a very long time. And in fact, I almost wore it like a badge of honor, right? Like I'm by myself. I'm a lone wolf. I do everything on my own. I don't want people. And then this year in particular was the year of partnership for me, and get like very intentionally stepping into immersing myself with other people as part of my business and part of my business operations, building teams and finding partners of my own. And it's actually been a game changer for me, which is super interesting because my model has always been stay on your own, but I'd hit a ceiling. So stepping into partnership has been like a total level up. And it's really interesting for me to see that, because it's not something I ever desired before. So there's this attraction of I get to keep all the profits and everything is for me. But I think there's a ceiling there, right? Like the number of people I know who have really sort of cracked the 7 figures on their own, they're either leading an e-commerce business that can scale without people, or they're very good at systems, or they've just kind of cracked the code on something like that, or they are they got super weirdly lucky, but and they charge incredibly crazy amounts of money for every sort of transaction that they have. So where's that ceiling? Like where's the ceiling at which it no longer becomes a scalable, profitable opportunity when you're on your own?
Well, I mean, so I don't think there is a ceiling, especially now. That we're talking about that in by by 2027, we're going to see a solo founder business has a 3 commas valuation. So I really don't think that we're going to. I don't think there's a ceiling anymore. I'm interested in when you're consulting, when you're selling hours, there is a ceiling, right? Because you only have a certain number of hours in a day. And so I do think, depending on the business, there is a ceiling. Would you consider, so I want to really get into the tactics of how do we do this today, and especially with leveraging AI. But I before we jump into that, I'm really curious about, do you consider it a solo practice if you have subcontractors? Is that still a solo practice, or are they part of the team?
I think so. Like, those are my clients, right? Like 7-figure business owners who don't hire anybody, but certainly get services. They procure services, right, from a team of people who provide services to their organization, but they're still not leading. They're not building something that, they're committed to paying payroll, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a good question.
Is that truly a solo business? Is that truly a solo business? Because in reality, you're kind of just coming at building a team in a different way, but it's still a team. You're not truly a solo founder. And I want to get this clear, because when we dive into tactics on how to do this, I do want to make sure that we have the right distinction when we're talking, because it is different. If you're by yourself, it's different than if you're bringing on people that eat what they kill in your company, right? So I do think it's different. Chris, what do you think?
It's actually a really, I think, good and important distinction. I think for the sake of this conversation, we probably can broaden it to people that hire contractors, because I don't think there's a place you can stop. So in other words, do you have a bookkeeper? Well, you should have a bookkeeper, unless you really want to spend your time learning QuickBooks, right? So that's a contractor. And so I think for the sake of this argument, we can say you are the primary service provider. You have to do 80% of the stuff or whatever. And then there's other people you have around you that help and assist you in other business functions. But here's the game I want to play. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I know that, Stephanie, I'm going to make you do something entirely different. You're going to have to defend not being a solo founder. And Anthony, you defend being a solo founder. Why?
I think you have it mixed up. I think you have it mixed up.
No, I think that in this case, I'm going to make you make an argument that you should build a team, right? Like that's where I'm at. Yeah. So Anthony, you should make the argument that you should not. You should sit in your basement. You should not shower. Basically, you should live the life of Anthony Franco. You should just be Anthony. Antisocial.
I would never advise that for anybody. But keep going. We'll go with it.
Oh, I'm writing down, like, as I wrote down my notes here, I'm writing down 2 columns. Why should I consider either path? And so, Anthony, why should I consider being a solo founder? And I think you've already hit one of them. It is the greatest time in history to be a solo founder. You have tools available for you today that you've never had before that can increase your productivity by some X that is almost unthought of 3 or 4 years ago. What else?
Yeah, so I'm gonna as a completely unusual thing that I do is I'm gonna answer your question by answering a different question.
Oh, weird. That's strange.
Never do that.
Never do that. So I would say you can't do this unless, right? So there's traits that you need to have, but I'm going to answer those traits by saying by talking about the negatives. So if you're not able to, you need to be able to be completely self-aware of your weaknesses. You need to be able to get feedback on what you're doing from external sources. So being solo doesn't mean being isolated. It means that you're the single person responsible for the outcomes alone. You're responsible for the outcomes alone. So you can't do it alone. You need to have a really good group of folks that you can reach out to and say, hey, can you help me look at this? Or can you help me build this? Or what do you think of that? I think that's incredibly critical. If you have that, if you have a good network of people that are willing to provide you great critique and criticism and feedback and encouragement, you're on the right path. The second thing that you have to be is a builder. You have to be able to build stuff. You also have to be able to sell. You have to be able to build a community. You have to be able to work your ass off. You have to be a systems thinker. Those things, if you are those things, you have a shot at making it. If you're missing one of those components, you need a team.
I don't know anywhere in that conversation that you actually answered any of my question, but I guess thank you, Stephanie.
I get
Shocking.
it. When should you? It's when you have those traits.
Okay, there you go. That's good. Thanks.
Okay.
Stephanie, what do you think?
So the thing we didn't finish talking about is the definition of a solo, like what is a solo business? And I think we're sort of in agreement that if you think about one of those guys who were, it right now is building like a $10 million newsletter business, there is no way that person has not gotten to that place without having contract resources that provide services for them, whether it's customer service or whether now increasingly some of these AI tools are able to replace those. But you can't deliver that type of volume without having somebody doing some design work or somebody, so when we talk about a team, I think that's what we're talking about, is that we are like, no solo provider has done everything for themselves. I'm probably the only solo business owner that knows how to do everything really, really well. So other than me,
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking the exact. Well, I know how to design. I know how to keep books. I know. so maybe I'm too delusional to do this correctly.
But here's the thing. Here's what I know about coaching solo providers, because that has been my demographic forever, is that a lot of them don't have that breadth of skills, and they get really stuck because they know how to be good at what they do, but they don't know how to do any of the other pieces. And so in fact, very few business owners are actually business savvy people. And they piece together a business, and if they're smart, they go and look for the help to help guide them. But they do have to fill in the pieces. So if I'm going to make the argument about not being solo, which has been my life for 20 years, what I'm discovering about not being solo is just the potential to two things: the potential to expand kind of what I'm already doing and exponentially grow that. And secondly, is that, yes, I know how to do all of these pieces. Do I do all of them super well? Mediocre. I'm a mediocre white woman, but having a partner who kind of matches me, but is really good at this piece and now we have this delineation of our roles, and I don't feel like I have to be everything to everybody. And that's actually really nice after 25 years of being responsible for everything in my business. It's actually really nice to be able to start to focus and lean into what really is my skill set and that I'm really good at, and get even better at that. And in a way, it sort of takes a lot of pressure off, right?
There's a couple things I missed though.
Me?
Operating solo, there are a couple things I miss. One of the things that you have with a team that I miss is celebrating wins. It's like there's nobody to high five. It's a little awkward to high five yourself. There's also there's one of the tricks that I use in order to make sure I get stuff done is I tell somebody I'm going to do it, and I've got nobody to tell. So I don't have an accountability partner.
You need an accountability buddy.
Yeah, you need an accountability buddy.
There's something about accountability though that is like, if I just had some random person be like, "Hey, Stephanie, did you do this thing?" I'd be like, "Fuck off!" Like, who cares?
Yeah,
if
exactly
I did
right.
it? But if it's affecting someone, like my partner is like, "Hey, did you get this thing done?"
You said you were going to do this. Yeah. So there is that accountability piece, and then there's nobody to really like that is invested in it with you when something's going sideways to collaborate and argue about the solution. So those are real things that you miss. And it's the reason why I gravitate away from being a solo founder, is because those things I find are more critical than the velocity gains you get by being solo. Chris, what do you think?
I think you're right. And I think that I'm going to try to be brief because you guys were both so long-winded. You can't do great things by yourself. You can't build great, awesome things. And yes, we're as close to that as we've ever been with AI, et cetera. But there's this other component, which is we get things spectacularly wrong and are wildly convinced that we're right. Like it's a human thing that we do. We can look at something and see something and be wildly wrong. And you have to have more people in the room to be like, what the hell are you thinking, man? That's not true. And if you had that person happens to be somebody that you like and respect, and you're working towards a common goal and a shared ambition, not only do you avoid those kind of cognitive blindness moments, you also can move more than twice as fast. You don't get stuck in loops. You can build towards great things. And Anthony, as much as people in this world where we're celebrating this idea of introversion, we need other people. Humans need humans. We need to be around other people. We need to talk about ideas. That's how great things are built. And so I genuinely believe that I loved working completely solo. It felt great, that whole idea of just being the lone wolf. But if I want to build something great, I'm going to have to include other people. I can still be the solo founder. I can be the CEO, but other people have to be in the room. Just have to. I don't know. I feel strongly about that.
There's a tension here for me, is that like one of the reasons that I've been held back is that I get so many ideas, and I want to try all sorts of things. And I'm somebody who just like, I'm an activator, right? So as soon as I think of something, I start building, and I want to build and I want to create. And then I don't give that enough time. And then I move on to the next thing. And this is like the curse of the solo founder, right?
It's absolutely true.
I don't have anyone to kind of keep me focused and staying on a path that allows me to put the time and investment in. And this is what I've learned being in partnership with somebody, is that although I love my creative side and I love my building side, now that I'm building something with someone, we have a vision and we're working towards that. And it keeps me focused. That's the huge thing that I've noticed, is that it keeps me focused on the path. It keeps me focused on what we're building. And we're both the same way. We're both activators. We're both like the same profile. And so we will turn on a dime and we will make quick decisions, but we know where we're going and we're steering the ship. And I honestly have felt more like a flag in the wind on my own. And like, that's I think the curse and the benefit of being on your own, is that you get to be like that. But at some point in time, it stops serving you. And I've seen so many solo founders just walking around in circles because they don't know what to do next.
All right. So we've kind of set this up for 20 minutes on whether or not to be in and what it looks like. I'd really like to dive into, all right. So let's just say I've decided I'm going to be a solo founder. I'm going to do this on my own. Now what? How do I do that?
Go hire a team.
No. Let's say somebody's saying, I'm going to do this. What advice do you give us? What are the 5 things that we need to do in order to make sure that we're successful as solo founders?
Get your personal board of directors.
Okay. So
to your point,
build a network of people, of critics. I would call that critics
and mentors, right? I have found
the difference.
I found it super helpful to have something to model after, not to copy, but to watch someone who's a little further ahead than me, and just be like, idea. Okay, here's what I've noticed about this person. Like, I want to surround myself with people, and this isn't just a cliche. I literally want to be the stupidest person in the room. I know you know how that feels, Anthony, but for
All
me,
the
it's
time.
hard. It's hard.
That's not something I have to chase.
Right. It's easy for me, really.
But it really,
not hard.
but if you can, and I actually found it really hard to find those people. Like, not, and sorry, I'm not saying that like, oh,
oh my god!
That's amazing.
Oh my goodness! I find it really
what I
hard to
mean-
find anybody smarter than me. I don't
No,
know
no,
what's
no.
going
I don't mean smarter. I don't mean smarter. I mean further ahead in their business. And those communities. of
There's no
people
recovering from that, Steph. There's
No,
just-
exactly. Sorry.
Look,
Sorry.
in
I
our-
don't mean not. We're bringing the IQ level down quite a bit.
Listen, I am the smartest person in
Oh,
the room.
that's
But
so
besides
good.
that,
That's so
but
good.
you know, like to find those people who are ahead of you, it's very often pay to play, right? Like you either need to hire somebody or you got to be in a room of, because those people aren't just hanging out in free communities, right?
So, Steph,
Yeah,
I'm
let's
going
hear
to
Anthony
add to that a
out.
little
We can
bit because I
give it
know
a
what
read.
you're saying. And what you're saying is whenever I find myself, and there's no way of saying this without it sounding like the way you sounded it, the way it sounded coming from you. Sorry, but
Oh my
but-
God, the narcissism of
no,
this
it's not
podcast.
narcissism. It's like I whenever I'm in a group of other entrepreneurs looking for it to be a collaborative situation. It's hard for me to find people that have gone through harder shit than I have, and so it's like when I surround myself with other entrepreneurs, I love that because I have so much to offer, and these are the mistakes that I've made, and this is what I've been through, and I don't find that outside of a very select group of friends. I guess what I'm saying is you have to be really selective of the people that you bring into this critic group because they have to provide a perspective that you don't have. And actually you and Chris are part of that group for me, right? So you guys have different unique perspectives that provide me something and a way of thinking about stuff that I haven't experienced in my own leadership. I have another, Rob Wilson's another one. I have Brad Bickerton is another one. So I have that small group of friends that have the breadth of experience I have, but from a different vantage point. Those are the people you need to have as part of this board of directors. It can't just be another group of entrepreneurs that you wind up being more of the mentor than the mentee.
Exactly. And what I find in those groups is that there tends to be this ongoing scarcity mentality. And I will say, like,
Yeah,
there's a lot of conversation about how hard it is. And I will say one of the big levels up for me actually came from one of my clients who deals a lot with like wealth mindset and you know, it's a bit woo, but it's also really good for me, is that as long as I stay in the community of entrepreneurs I've been in, I will constantly be holding myself back in that conversation around wealth. Getting into partnership with a very wealth-minded individual has me like miles ahead from where I was on my own. So
right,
be very careful about who you surround yourself with. That's number one.
So board of directors, what's the another one, Chris, that you need to have in place as a solo founder?
So I have a legitimate question. Do you know any solo founders that are not services businesses at their core?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, give me an example. You don't have to say the specifics, but like, so I know somebody that created gift baskets. She built an incredibly good business, but at the end of the day, she was the one that was building this gift basket. So it was more or less a service business. It was.
Let's look at the business models. So there's e-com, right? So you could look at it as drop ship or more sophisticated drop shipping. Yeah. There's coaching, training.
Yeah, services.
SaaS.
You can do SaaS. You just have to, I mean, again, this is something that's new, right? You can vibe code something you can put out in the world. There's these micro apps now that people are.
It doesn't even need. So there's I know solo founders that have built an incredibly niche piece of software that he only has 5 customers,
but they pay.
He's doing $1 million a year because and it's very niche. It's
Yeah,
very,
but also,
very niche.
does he or she have other developers that he outsources to?
No,
No, just those themselves.
completely solo founder that has built a piece of software for a very niche industry that offers high value.
So I think that the reason I'm asking that question is because I think that the single thing that happens most times is that you start off thinking that you're not a services founder, like you're not a services business, and you end up being a services business. And the whole point is that decision that you need to make as a founder, as you go in, you have to be very, very firm on what it is, the vision that you're trying to build, because all these companies, I know so many people that have started off by being like, look, I'm gonna write this thing and I'm gonna create this thing. I'm so brilliant. I'm gonna do this podcast or this newsletter, and people are gonna to pay for it, to receive it. And it's just gonna be amazing, right? And with that, they end up being a services business because that gravity is
Every business is a service business. Every business is a service business, though. Every single one.
What they're being is, what you need to do as you're approaching this is really understand what your business model is and stay firm to that business model.
Okay.
It is incredibly difficult as a solo founder when you're not making money. And when somebody goes, I don't really need that, but I need this. Can you do that? And of course the answer is always, sure, of course I can.
So the model that's interesting to me right now is, and I'm sort of watching this. I don't know if you follow Greg Eisenberg. I was in his community for a little while, but he basically he was the CEO. He's the CEO of Late Checkout, and then he had an exit earlier on. He's like 12 years old or whatever. He's very young. Well, he's not that young, but he's young to me. Anyway, he's sort of the proponent of building these like newsletter businesses. Like there's another guy who's got like a $10 million business just from his newsletter. So these information entrepreneurs are a fascinating business model to me, and they're building these no infrastructure little businesses that can scale up like crazy, and are all based just on information economy. So like there's some really interesting stuff going on there, and they're really leveraging it. And like this is getting really interesting for me too, with all of these AI, like these agentic AI tools, because I've got like 3 customers that I'm like, this agentic tool that I've got right now, I can basically replace 3 of their team members with the work that I can do in there. And it's all like really correlated. So that's becoming more and more possible, but I still don't think that you're getting away with doing it in isolation, right? That's just not what a solo.
We've got a important question, and this is, since it's just us, we can be open, honest, vulnerable, because who really listens to the show anyway. How do you deal with the ick? And the ick is, there's a part where sometimes it feels like there's an entire world of solo entrepreneurs that just are trying to sell people shit that they don't need. And it's like, oh, if you just follow my course, I'm going to do.
Yeah, who cares? That like buyer beware, right? It's not on the business owner. That to me is on the people. And I just had this conversation with a couple of clients. Like they were like, but we want to buy this packaged up little, you're going to make $100,000 in 6 weeks kind of thing. And I'm like, that's on you. Like, yes, it's good marketing on their part, right? I can't fault them for that. But do I think that they're offering something of value? Probably not, but they know how to get a market.
Like
this is really interesting, Chris.
Capitalist, I think it's brilliant. It's like, hey, if somebody pays for it, it's got. But Anthony, like I'm just thinking of this example of AI, and right now you have some of the most sophisticated AI engines right now that you could take the thing that you've built for us with How to Founder. You could just take it and package it up and sell it to other potential podcast people, right? Once you can get the speed round questions right, but it's fine. Don't worry about that. But also, what you're choosing to do is to work with people to help them understand how to do that themselves. Like if that, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, that feels better to me than it's like, hey, for $19.95, you can.
Well,
by
let,
this
let me
thing.
let me address. So
It's almost as if you have no business training at all.
true. So going back to tactics, one is develop a group of a board of directors, a critique board of directors. Chris, you said business model. Really be clear about your business model. I don't know if I agree with that or not, but it is something that you should have an awareness of.
Well, because I
now
do think that there's
what you're
unintended
really talking about is what you're talking about, Chris. I think the broader question is how is distribution. So Stephanie, you touched on it. Newsletter businesses are interesting, but you have to figure out distribution. And Chris, you're asking me, how do you deal with the in other words, how do you sell without being salesy or pushy or buy my course or look like that guy standing in front of a Rolls Royce and in front of a mansion trying to sell.
Like on Instagram, I'm
stuff.
flying private. It's like
And
you've
problem
got
is, a lot of that stuff works. A lot of it works. If it doesn't, if it didn't, they wouldn't be on TV or on the internet. And I'm feeling
the tool, like the marketing works, but I would argue that because I have so many clients that come to us and finally go, okay, we bought all these $100,000 in 6 weeks kind of bullshit, right? And it doesn't work. Most of the time, the actual method doesn't work, but they've done a good job of selling the hope that it does, right?
Yes. And let me so just as a side note to this, and I want to dive into distribution, because distribution or sales is the thing that is the hardest thing for all founders. But if somebody is selling you a way to improve sales, they haven't figured it out, because if they were good at sales, they're not selling courses on sales.
Yeah.
That's it. That's as simple as it is. They'd be selling other things. Anybody that sucks at selling are selling courses on selling.
I don't know. My business partner is like a high ticket sales specialist, right? And she's like magic.
It's rare.
Watch.
We've talked about this before, Steph. That's rare. It's really rare.
I watched her close an entire room in Florida, and it was just mind blowing. Like, it's just natural for her.
Yeah. She's worth her weight in gold
here.
Yeah.
Which is like, there is, if this notion of sales and distribution, the other tactic and the thing that you need to understand is you're going to be pulled in different directions, and it's gonna feel bad. And if you're a solo founder, having a board of people around you is really important. But there's this constant weird temptation that somebody else has the secret answer, and you just for $19.99 a month, you subscribe to this thing.
That you nailed it. That's it.
And so it's the point that I'm trying to drive to is that you need to have a really good and solid business plan and approach. I'm not saying it needs to be like, hey, this is what I'm going to do and I will not deviate. But in those moments where you're not being successful, and you will fail just like everybody else that ever wants to do this job. You need to make sure that you're staying very, very true to a process that is not just like, okay, fine, I'm going to pay for somebody else to go sell for you. It's similar, Anthony. I hate people that are like, I'm going to go raise money for your company. You know what I'm talking about? Because they call you and be like, look, I work at Wall Street. I know all these rich people. Like, I'm just going to syndicate your deal. It's going to be easy. I'm going to do this. And then they charge you $20,000 a month for 5 months to work on your pitch deck, right? And lo and behold, nobody ever invests. It drives me nuts. You have to have confidence in that kind of North Star vision about what you're doing, and not
the temptation as a solar founder. So that you've brought up a really good point. The temptation of a solo founder is to outsource the things they don't want to do.
Sometimes solar founders are very lonely too. Anyway.
Yeah. But the temptation for any founder, solo or not, is to outsource the stuff you don't want to do. And fundraising sucks, sales sucks, and the temptation is to find somebody that says they're good at it, and then not have to learn the craft of doing it.
Right.
Because you've hired an expert for it. And that has bitten me in the ass way more than any other bad decision that I've made. Way more. I made
I
a lot
think
of bad decisions. The worst decision is to delegate something I don't want to do. It's the worst decision you can make, period.
Always.
I think there's a point at which that does become appropriate though, because these are my clients right now. They're hitting those 7 figures and they're like, they do have a team of people, not employees, but they've got, resources that they're using, and yet they're still embedding themselves in the operations of their business, which is keeping them stuck, right? It's not serving them because they have done everything. They have learned how to do everything, and they feel
that's fine. It's fine to delegate once you know how what needs to get done. Yes.
Yes.
Totally agree.
So
But you can't delegate it if you don't know how to do it.
And I think this
exactly.
hits to one of the central points of being a solo founder is solo founders want to do it because they love the craft. And let's say you're a designer. Anthony, you're a terrific designer, but you're also a terrific business person. And so if you're like, I don't want to do that whole business thing, I just want to go and design and all that sort of stuff, and I'm going to just outsource all this other stuff, that is a company that is destined to fail. You have to be the person that runs your own business. It's just, and I think, Stephanie, you can get support, you can get help from ethical, smart, good people that genuinely want to help, and you can pay a reasonable fee for that. But also understand you're swimming in a lake with absolute sharks with laser beams on them. Like they are trying to extract dollars from you because you're desperate. It's like being in Vegas.
So let's pull this back. So we were looking for 5, sort of the top 5 things that we need to have as if we want to be successful as a solo founder. To recap, we talked about having your sort of personal board of directors. We talked about knowing and having a distribution sales model. We talked about what I think you guys were saying is that you need to know what your model and your vision is. Like what's your plan and your vision and what are you working towards? The last thing that I just heard is that you need to know how to operate your business, even if down the road you actually take yourself out of that. And that's the work that we do with our clients. And it's appropriate at that point in time. What's number 5? Let's do number 5, and then we're going to go to the speed round of probably.
So let's talk about the mistake that I see most solo founders make, present company included. You can't get out of build and into sell. It's not right. It's not good enough yet to launch. I just need to add one more feature. If something's not working, I just need to add one more feature and then it'll be right. I don't know what that. Go ahead. Yeah. Turn that into something. Yeah, Steph.
Yeah, that's that. It's the mentality and the process of knowing that the sooner you put something out into the world, the sooner you're going to know what you need to do next, right? And so I think a lot of people stay stuck in this more safe place where they can keep saying, well, I'm just going to build the next thing and the next feature and the next whatever, or I'm going to build a new program or what have you. And I remember working with a founder who would always do that. As soon as she got uncomfortable in the business, she would just go and redesign everything and like the programs, like that's not where she needed to put her attention.
Yeah.
So can we call that a release mentality? Like sometimes.
Why don't you restate that, Steph?
I love this episode. So many inappropriate jokes.
It's something like that anyway. Like it's
let's call it a launch mentality.
But
there's I want to push back on this a little bit, just because I want us to argue about this for a second, because I think the tension is important. There's a tension here that's really matters. The tension is if you're waiting to launch, if you're waiting to launch because it's not perfect
and release,
then the problem is you may never launch. But if you launch too early and you start getting feedback, you may not have the chance to hit those customers again if your launch is way off base. So there is this, you have to be good enough and credible enough to be where you're credible enough to get feedback where they're like, this is interesting, I want to learn more, or this is interesting but if it's not interesting to start, you're never going to be able to ask those customers again for their feedback, because you'll lose them. And
this is That's marketing, right? So
It
I
is
have
marketing.
launched things literally within 24 hours of having an idea. And I launched it as a founders group where they
You-
knew that they were helping me develop the idea.
You've
And it's
never
still only
launched
2 years
anything
later.
prematurely?
Releasing premature release.
Clearly not a problem for you, Stephanie.
For some reason, no men signed up for
Sorry.
my program.
I'm
but
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Who's running the
I
show?
think-
Where are we
I
at?
am. Listen,
I think may I weigh in?
Yeah, please,
It's
Chris.
hard to get a word in. I think that the other thing I would say, and this has to do with what you just said, is that as a solo founder, you need to build systems. And you need to build a system that makes you understand that you're running a company. And you are the practitioner, you're the artisan, you're the person that wants to craft this thing. But one of the systems has got to be sales and marketing. And there
Yes.
has to be a system where you can continually get feedback, just like any other business. And it's hard, and particularly because a lot of solo founders quit because they want to do this one thing and they love it, and they don't really want to do this other stuff. But I think probably the main piece that when I'm saying about systems is understand that you are going to be running a business and you have the accountabilities of every part of that business. And you can build systems that will help you save time and energy. But sales and marketing is a system. You have to have it to the point where maybe it's just a day a week and you block out Thursdays, and that is the day that you have to go and sell. And you just have to, like, that's your day to go sell. Or just listen to our podcast. Yeah, it's fine.
and I actually think you have to be a systems thinker. Like that, it doesn't even occur to
What
me
does
that
that-
I'm not.
If you're
gonna
not
have
a systems thinker, that phrase doesn't mean anything. What does that mean, systems thinker?
Okay, you have to think about things as a system, right? And you got to think about your business.
You
as
said
a
the
system.
same words, but in different order.
That's the look. That's what we get you.
What
to
does that
agree
mean?
with
Note
right
on your
there.
file.
What does that mean? Stephanie's going to send me to HR after this podcast. What does systems meaning? What does systems thinking mean actually?
It means I
think
don't.
it means, yeah. Go ahead, Stephanie.
No, Chris, you go ahead. I don't want to talk to Anthony.
I think that I am absolutely in agreement with you that you do need to be a systems thinker. What that means is you have to organize your thoughts into structures and be able to compartmentalize the different parts of your business and be able to think through the challenges you face that are both interrelated but also individual. I'll give you a very simple example. As soon as we get off this, I'm going to go into QuickBooks and I'm going to work on accounting and finance. And then later on today, we're going to be doing some product stuff. I have to be able to figure out a way to hold those two things in my conscious, focus on one and be able to shift to the other while building every element of my business up to be able to sustain and achieve the goal that I want to as a solo founder. Like I think that I tend to be a little bit more skeptical, and it's only because I love founders and I see people fail because they want to go do this thing and they don't take into account that you're actually running a business. It's hard. Running businesses are hard. There's a lot of failure associated with that.
Chris is our dad today.
Come on, kid.
Do I need to separate you two?
Don't make me come back there.
I can't wait to get into our speed round questions, which have been amazing. Okay, both of you get to answer. What percentage of your revenue should be pure profit before you even consider hiring?
Percentage of your revenue.
Do you want me to write it on with crayons, Anthony? Is that going to be helpful for you? Chris,
it's a terrible question because percentage doesn't matter. You have to be able to have 3 months of paying yourself before you can go hire someone.
100%. That's the answer.
Yeah, it was a trick question or just really poorly worded. You're working 60-hour week solo and profitable. Hire help or automate one major process?
Automate.
Hire.
What if you've already automated?
Yeah.
Then hire.
Okay. Solo business plateaus at comfortable income. Push past it or protect the lifestyle?
That is a personal, that is where do you want to be in 5 years question. It's
Yeah, but
too personal.
I'll say just to be the devil's advocate here, most people start solo businesses for the lifestyle and they kill their lifestyle by pushing through and just thinking, gotta grow more, I gotta grow more. And so
Exactly
be very conscious of that decision.
I have a client that, when we started working with them, they were like, yeah, but we want the $10 million business. I'm like, no, you don't. Like, based on everything I've heard from you, you would hate having a $10 million business. You could get the same amount of profit just by running a $1.8 million business, and you could be just as comfortable. Yeah. Client asks for team capacity that you lack. Decline the work or hire to deliver?
I would hire for that. I'm growth mindset.
Yeah,
I have
I
a
was gonna
growth
say,
mindset,
because
not a
you're
lifestyle.
terrible at lifestyle businesses,
Yeah,
Anthony.
I'm terrible at lifestyle businesses.
Yeah,
So
I would say
I
that.
know who I am.
Right.
I would hire to scale.
I would say if I'm
but
trying
I'm
to run a
wrong.
solo business, right?
I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I fully get that I'm wrong, but that's what I would do.
I'm gonna
You're
get
not
that
wrong.
clip, Stephanie, of him saying, I'm wrong. And I'm just
I'm
gonna
wrong.
have
Oh,
that as a media.
You're just going to pull that out, and that's going to be
I'm
one
wrong,
of our.
but I say it with certainty, so I sound more right than I actually am.
But I think that, to your point, there's no wrong here. This is very much about, like, you could do either.
Yeah.
And it could be the right answer, right?
But
Okay, last
again,
question.
be
Easy
very
question.
clear, because you're gonna fuck it all up if you go hire people. Then you're like, now you're a manager. You're not a solo founder anymore.
Management overhead kills more businesses than lack of capacity. Agree?
100%.
Yes, agreed.
All right. We're going to go into our deep dive resources. Company of One by Paul Jarvis, and the E-Myth Revisited, which kind of comes up on every single episode, it sounds like. It feels like. But go read it. It's a good book. Awesome discussion today, you guys. Obviously, we all have some background in all of these conversation topics. Thank you guys for the deep dive. Thank you for your personal experiences. Yes, Chris.
It's my last episode of the year with you guys. I'm just grateful for you. Happy holidays. You guys have Monday. We're off until the first of the year, so have a happy holidays, you two.
Happy
Yeah, you
holidays.
Everybody listening as well.
You came
One more
prepared with
episode until 2026.
Wow.
That's right. That's right. So thank you all for listening. Please make sure to visit howtofounder.com, where you can connect with us on LinkedIn and subscribe to our YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify channels. And Chris, what do we believe?
You're the pioneer of economic prosperity. Gosh darn it. Darn tootin'.
And
Very
we
Colorado
believe
term.
you. All right, you guys. Have a great holiday, Chris. Anthony, we'll see you on Monday.
Thanks,
And
everybody.
thank you for listening.